Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our first run with my assisting of Tom Updegrove's Ethical Hacking Essentials. It's a brand new course in the EC Council. So we're all excited to give this a try. Tom, go ahead. Why don't you say some things about here?
So there's a couple parts about this that I'd like to explain, because I think we have a kind of a mix of participants who are going to observe, and we have participants who are going to actually take the exam, and that have paid for the iLabs. So that we were just talking about the nature of the iLabs. This is something that we've been really working on really for the last decade. 10 years ago, Larry and I rolled out. What I asked you yesterday. I thought you said.
The first time we started with CEH version 6, like in 2008. Yeah. But then we became an official under Secure Ninja. They were very grateful and very nice to us. They helped us, we helped them, and we rolled out the official debut of both the CEH 7 and 8 for them. We were the first two people to run that class in Washington, D.C. actually.
So why I bring that up is back in the beginning when we started doing this, we would actually hand build the labs. We would use VirtualBox or VMware, some type of hypervisor, and layer all of our machines on there. And although you can still do it today, the idea of these cyber ranges, it's just amazing.
It was also crazy. You got to admit, when we were building those things and teaching the people's, we don't know the level of your skills when you come in, just getting the environment set up, just getting your VirtualBox installed, getting the target and machines working. That was sometimes a day before 80% of the people had them working, and then the rest of the week you were still troubleshooting that one guy who couldn't get that thing working. So these are great. Yeah, the iLabs take all that away.
So it's been a period of development, but it's there now. So I highly recommend if you want to really develop your skill set, definitely you want to acquire the cyber range. So that we've kind of worked out a deal with EC Council to be able to give it at a pretty low cost. Considering that ethical hacking, the full-fledged course, it's $2,500 to $3,500. The exam alone is the exam alone. Just taking it is $1,000 today. I think it's crazy.
That's the CEH, yeah. They're all going up like that. It's crazy. It's a requirement to get, though, for so many businesses now for compliance requirements. To get, you got to have somebody who's officially doing your testing, or something like that.
Now, I think that there's ethical hacking essentials actually is going to satisfy some of the lower level 8570 requirements. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. The CEH2 it was so kludgy because there were 100 tools to do the same thing. And I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating there, but it's like I only need Nmap, dude. I don't need a bunch of network mappers. Nmap's
fine. Yeah. It's kind of like the same way almost. There are a lot of tools in here, but I think just offhand, this course will give you everything that ethical hacking will. It'll give you all the fundamentals.
You get access to the same labs, right? It's the iLabs or the iLabs.
It's not exactly the CEH.
It's an abbreviated iLabs.
It's an abbreviated version.
I wanted to go back to you when you said
it is so good.
When they rolled that out, you were saying earlier, though, I'm sorry to stop you, but that you were saying that it was kludgy. How long has it been out? What was it, about 2010 when they first rolled it out?
Yeah, well, it was promised, and there was such, it took such time for development.
It was so kludgy in the beginning. When they came out, they were brutal. But Tom stayed with it, and I know about 3 years ago you started loving this.
Yes. And I think it's the only way to do it today. It's nice to actually build your own little environment, but you really need to, really good hardware with it, and get all the right machines. So they've got all the right machines in there, so as we'll see, as we kind of roll along.
Cool.
So you want to give me the screen share now?
Yeah. I just wanted to again summarize that for the 250, they get access to the iLabs and an exam. So again, these iLabs alone
and exam prep. So I know you're right. As the iLabs alone,
the iLabs alone are such an incredible. So you have control.
So, and I see now we have Dan in. Hi, Dan.
Oh, Mr. McKenna.
Hello,
Dan.
How you doing, man?
Welcome back, sir. Always an honor.
Yeah.
So I take it Dan is taking one of your.
I certainly recognize that name off. Dan, was it the last time you have been in a class of mine, right?
Oh yes, many of them.
Oh, awesome. I wasn't sure if it's just on LinkedIn. I always see it.
Damn it. Do I know you, Dan? We ever met?
I had reached out to you, Tom, and asked you if you provide the type of services that Larry does.
Okay. All right.
Right after I passed the CISSP from Larry's class.
Okay.
Tom does a lot more in the field work than I do. I used to get when cloud services and SaaS services came out. I was getting a lot of work doing. Why is the app so slow? They said it was our network, and I would prove most of the time it wasn't your network. But they got better. I mean, they fixed that stuff. I don't have those problems anymore. So I mostly just do music and philosophize now.
Yeah, but I'm always dragging Larry in on a job.
That's true. That's true, and it's always an honor.
Dragging him in. Yeah. So I don't know how many of you know our history, but I'll tell you a little bit about it. We know each other since like 1980, early 80s. What were you?
It was like 80. I think I was 19 when I was studying with Steve Shapiro, and he sent me over to you. He said, "I think this guy's from the city. He's more like your fit." I said, "Okay."
So this young guy it comes to me, and at the current time, he had himself like a little food concession. He was selling. I had a
all natural health food stand outside of a Jim Steaks at 4th and South. It was really hard to resist the smell of those steak sandwiches, but I was a punk rocker, and you came to see the band at Grendel's
Lair. Yep. But so anyway, so this young man comes to me and he goes, I don't know, I'm thinking about my future. What I really should do with my life, and I said,
just in case the music doesn't take off. No, I became a dad. I was planning on becoming a dad at that time, and you had computers. You were the first guy I know to have. You and Otto, and Tom's been hacking on Timex Sinclair's. He's been putting things that shouldn't have worked together since the 80s.
Yeah, it was mostly kind of mystery games, but so I go to him, dude, computers, man. It's like there's a future there, And sure enough, Larry enrolls in school, comes out, this is right around.
I went to computer repair school in 1984. I learned to fix computers in only 8 months, and I finished in only 13 months because it was work at your own pace. So I was able to. No, the card readers were boring as hell, but we've continued to grow on. I remember getting a Commodore 64. You had a Commodore 64, and we were trading wares. We try,
Actually, my son Tommy had a Commodore 64. Okay.
It was faster to drive over than it was to wait for the 300 baud modem to download the thing.
No, exactly. That's what we did. We would just drive over to your house to get stuff.
But I remember going to a place, driving, because a guy had so many discs at these bulletin boards. We didn't have the internet in those days, guys. We had bulletin boards. But that was where hacking started. That's when you saw people like cracking code and releasing the software on the bulletin board. They would even advertise the hacker's name who broke whatever Qbert broken by the bandit at this bulletin board number, and you go there. Yeah. But here we are, 2001.
So anyway, Larry goes on, eventually works his way up. He's working for IBM. He's teaching, and around 2000, he comes to me and he says, "Hey, I'm teaching up at this center, and would you like to take the Microsoft Systems Engineer course?"
The hot thing in 2000.
What?
MCSE, baby, 4.0.
So I hopped in the course, and
passed all but one.
It was my move into.
You missed the horrible, what was it, Network Essentials, that Microsoft didn't know networking. So then you went back and got it, and the company was so impressed. They said, he can take CCNA, and it's on us. And that's it. From then on, Tom figured out all those labs. Cisco labs were not fun, but Tom's the hacker. Tom is the guy that figures things out, makes something work. He's going to grab these cables, go to Google it, or in those days, Alta Vista.
We got involved in ethical hacking around 2005, 2006, 2000. I guess we rolled out 2008. We rolled out our own version of it. We were kind of like like a black labeled version, but somebody caught wind of it and drug us into an actual official EC Council course, and has been there ever since. The thing that I talked to Larry about this EHE, or this ethical hacking essentials course, was that I think it's a great way to get introduced to it in an inexpensive way, and add some skills, some fundamentals to your repertoire. In fact, this morning I get an email every day from the Edgar Casey Foundation, and one of them said, "Why take the graduate course when you really just need the essential basics course?" So I just thought it was kind of fitting, that I got that email message this morning, and so hence that's where we're at, and here is the essentials class. There's not much in this particular module here. Okay.
When I record on these live ones, I don't do the introduction while we're recording. So as people do say, introduce yourself, I don't want to record that.
I just wanted you to see what's in the course. Okay. So rather than 20 modules, which would be in the full course, you have 12. And we're going to try to take 4 a day. Some of the modules are kind of fat in terms of they may have 50, 60 slides. Some are most are in like the 20, 25, so I figure it may take about a half hour. Some stuff I'm just going to slide through. Other stuff, we may take a little time and take a little dialogue on it. I'm sure one of you might have a question, or Larry might have a question about it. So
right, and that should definitely flex it. Please, people, do not be shy. I'm sorry, but don't be shy about asking us questions. Say, "Oh, Tom wanted to take a half hour," because you're helping us do the next one. So we need to know. It seems like every time we get to this slide, there's questions on it. So please keep, that
excuse me for a sec.
That will help us a lot. So as I don't have to interrupt Tom because he had to walk away. I'm sorry, I always do that to him. But honestly, you're here to help us, and we're here to help you. But if you have a question on something, please do pay attention and go, "I'm sorry," and you type it in the chat anyway. So never feel that you're interrupting and holding up class. Like, "Oh, I don't want to slow him down." That's the thing about the online environment I love. You just type it in and we'll come up with something. But yeah, we're feeling this out. This is the first time through.
So what do we want to get? I guess some issues plaguing the information security world, fundamentals of ethical hack. That's what we're really after, right? There's a bit of information technology, fundamentals, and terminology. You really need to read through the book, and I will actually pick out in the areas of concern if you're planning on taking the exam. If you're not, I think what I'm hoping to get out of this is just really understanding the fundamentals of reconnaissance, scanning for live host, scanning for ports and services, enumerating those services, finding vulnerabilities in those services, exploiting the services, maintaining access, and then post-exploitation and covering your tracks. And a lot of times we kind of approach it the same way someone would in a sparring event. That when two fighters are preparing for a fight, they do a lot of reconnaissance on each other. They want to know their strengths and weaknesses. When they get in the ring, they probe each other. And they're looking for weaknesses and vulnerabilities. They test those weaknesses and vulnerabilities to see if they're true. That's a true pen test in a way. Once someone gets a hold of a vulnerability, they maintain access. They're going to tie them up in some way, take them to the ground, pin them against the ring, keep them in the corner. And when they clear their tracks, they exit in a way that they don't get hit with a last flying, flailing move. So it's in many ways, the physical world parallels the digital world. And we can draw a lot of inferences between them. And in many ways, I think that's why we came up with this concept of cyber kung fu. There's a bit of talk about malware. You'll get some live viruses and worms and we won't spend too much time on them, but it's a lot of fun. Talk about password cracking, how it's done, reasons why people can crack passwords and so on. Some of the tricks like passing the hash and so on. We'll talk a little bit about social engineering. Actually, I did an 8-hour course for IT Pro TV on social engineering. For me, I think it's one of the most fascinating aspects of ethical hacking. But
it's so weird though. It's so weird. Like I meet these people who are professional social engineers. You ever meet a guy like that? I'm like, dude, I don't even know. You give me the creeps. So it's great to learn to defend yourself from, but man, I don't want to be that.
It's weird. It really draws me into the whole field of sociology. Because if you think about it, if you've got to be this
professional liar, what's
the impact on your personality as well? I mean, it has to play. Right. So, but certain people are drawn to it. I'm just amazed at the creativity of the professional con person.
And when it's used as a defense mechanism, then the guy's the hero. You know what I mean? So when it was a way to undermine Goliath, and it was a David.
We need to understand it because it's just getting worse and worse because we're bombarded.
For anybody who doesn't know, my wife is an incident response for a large firm, and she was tracking down the people who, if anyone's familiar, the big hack against Okta, the identity management as a service, and it was so much social engineering. It was all this stuff to bypass two-factor authentication. You ever get these things where you get an alert, someone's are you trying to log into your Yahoo account? You go, no, I'm not. But apparently if somebody keeps getting those, some people will click, oh, I don't know, it must be one of my machines at home. And they'll say, yes, just stupid stuff
so
like that.
I'm reading this morning of due to loss 165,000 of Ethereum in Coinbase. He logged into his account, but somebody poisoned the Coinbase's DNS or his DNS. It'll explain how. He goes to a lookalike Coinbase site, logs in,
Coinbase is talking some scary stuff. Get your coins out of there. Hey, Tom, there was a question earlier that I want to make sure. Apparently, is there something called the ethical hacking associate? Or have they changed that?
Yes, there is, but that's for somebody who is too young to take the exam.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, so it's the same as a CEH.
Yeah, same as CEH, except that you're not old enough to be a CEH.
Just like the CISSP. There we go. All right, we got the answer to that one. Thanks.
It costs the same.
My drink is not in this cup, by the way. It's over here. I just like, when's the liquid coming?
So that's probably another reason why EC Council brought this course out, was to really, and I think it fits more with my purpose, my maximum transformational purpose.
A maximum massively transformative.
So
massively transformative purpose. So, and so you're saying this is back when we did the Cyber Kung Fu. You alluded to it earlier. Tom and I, before the EC Council, around the same time, we met Ralph H. Mandia online, and he had something called Redvolution. There was the Austin by Peter Herzog, and they were all common to, seeing a niche to have some official testing thing. So Tom and I helped a little, but it was a cyber sparring idea to get the essentials. So what you're saying is this is it. This is basically essential, where the CEH is what you need to pass the exam, and you got to know 10 different tools or whatever, way more than you probably need.
But it also helps me to inform more people, just to bring, to help secure the Commonwealth. So, without
that's our MTP,
heavily
to support
burdening
the common
your
good.
pocketbook. Yeah.
And what does Yo Lewis say on our black belts? I will not permit considerations of race, religion, national origin, or social standing to influence in any way our relationships with our students.
You can see I'm just popping through slides, which I'm going to. But this is basically what the lab environment looks like. One could build this lab in VirtualBox, no problem. You need a good maybe 32 gigs of RAM. Figure if you gave 2 gigs to each machine, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, you got 16 gigs might get you by. If you gave 2 gigs to each machine. The big thing in ethical hacking, or CEH version 11, that is different, is that they moved away from Kali Linux and now using Parrot, which is pretty similar. Still a Debian build, same controls. I kind of like it.
Who loves it? Kevin from Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah. Went to dinner with him.
Cool build. All right, so that's pretty much it for this introduction here. So I think we got some questions up here, Larry, answering all the questions.
No, we've been handling it. The one question was about the associate versus this. So let's keep that screen up for a second. When you're in the lab, most of these are targets. Obviously, the Parrot Linux is going to be your tester's machine. Is there Windows 10 testers as well? Any of your testing applications run from Windows, or is it all run from Parrot?
No, there's some stuff in Windows. For instance, Chain Enable.
Okay, so again, we have the target machines, and then the
an interesting thing in both now the latest version of Kali as well as Parrot, you don't have ZMAP. So you have NMAC. You just don't have the GUI version.
Yeah. And none of the questions are on the GUI, but I'm a GUI guy.
Yeah, no, there's some benefits to the GUI sometimes because you get everything right there in front of you. You can kind of save, you can save it as an XML file. So I like the GUI. So if you want to run the GUI, you would run it in Windows. Okay, so you'll definitely have a kind of weaponized Windows 10 machine to do some stuff with. And there's a lot of tools that actually, are Windows based, so they're not going to, they're not necessarily going to run well. Now what I do actually in my pen testing environment is I will run a VM, a Windows VM for any tools that I need to, and just run it in bridge mode. But it'd be nice to have it up on my screen.
I have a Ring doorbell here. It keeps giving me false positives. The worst was a false negative, though. I had an e-bike, electric bike scooter delivered here at my office, and because I didn't want my wife to see it. It was for her birthday. And it didn't go off. I was like, how can you go off when a bird flies by, but you don't go off when Amazon drops off an e-scooter? False positives and false negatives.
So I'd like to know from you, Larry, exactly how important you think each of these fundamentals are. Right?
Well, I think if you're already signed up to click to and joined, understanding the need for security, probably not that important. Understanding the elements of security, I like that they have. It's number 3, and number 3 was introduced to me probably in 2001. I thought it was great. Forgot about it. Went to a Microsoft partners meeting virtually last year, and they focused on it. And I was like, oh, that old thing. And it is still so brilliant. So I love it. I love going back over 3 and looking at that because it's so fundamental and people just don't get it. Understanding the motives, I don't know. The motives are always, accidents are problems, but usually it's some type of, they used to test you on it. That's right. There were test questions on, he wasn't afraid to go to jail for even 30 years or more. Oh, well, that was a hacktivist, as opposed to he was stealing or cyber warfare. Maybe they're fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Classification attacks, I find are very important.
Yeah, that's the difference between you and I. It's like, I like the nitty gritty of just getting in there and, finding out information, but understanding the motives, goals, objectives of information security,
they're not really, I don't find it that important.
They're very testable items.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I love about 7 that people I have to reinforce all the time, and especially where we are in the world right now, guys. Think of how we transport anything from here to there on a ship, where most of the terms come from, right? That's where risk comes from. These are rocks, cliffs under the water. But driving a car, I don't care if you're a good driver and that's a good car. Are you obeying the law? Is your license up to date? Is that car been inspected recently? Are you driving the speed limit for that road? So much of security is about just obeying the laws of the land. I don't care what you think is right. It's not just you in the world. So it's important, and it's driving so much of security, things like GDPR, PCI. I'm particularly very focused on the GDPR or any of the privacy laws. So these are great rules. So I like that type of stuff just to set boundaries and make people, I don't know why I need a certificate to get a job. This guy next to me is a CEH and he doesn't even know what he's doing. I've been doing. Oh, that's fine. But would you suggest that people drive down the street without driver's licenses? Having a driver's license doesn't prove you can drive. I know people with a license can't drive. Do you suggest we get rid of the system? So I think it's important.
Classification of attacks, very important.
What's that? Taxes?
So without classification of attacks, you're never going to be able to assign risk to the vulnerabilities itself.
Absolutely, and that's true too. I kind of skipped over those, but you want to know, is this at a very simple level, passive or active? Are they just receiving? Or are they just sending, or are they also sending or something like that? So you classify it that way. Are they trying to deny service? Are they trying to exfiltrate data? Are they using us to attack others? You know, because I can remember when we got into computer security, people would laugh at us. They go, "This was before 9/11." You know, Tom and I are coming up with the cyber kung fu, and people were like, to me, like, "Why would somebody want to break into my computer? I don't have nothing." It's like, you have an IP address, dude. That's all that matters. It's not a guy.
That's still the thinking today.
Yeah, yeah. I still hear a lot
However, various information security laws and regulations, it varies from state to state, certainly from country to country. You know,
and international law is never easy to enforce. You know, that's the whole thing. We set up international law, but that doesn't mean you can tell whatever Kim Jong-il, hey, you're not allowed to do that. You know, and that's always a test question, especially like CISSP. What's the biggest challenge with international law? Difficult to enforce. Are you going to go to war with them?
All right. We know there's a need for security. This is important. Really, it was called the CIA triad until authenticity and non-repudiation were kind of added into it. But there's still the elements. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability are three important areas, right?
Hey, can I highlight on something? I want to draw
sure
something.
can.
It's one of my favorite things to point out. Do I get drawing tools or no? Maybe only you get them. Huh. Oh, I don't get to. All right. So in confidentiality, this is when you compete. The Eagles are competing against Dallas, and they don't want them to know what they're doing next. And that's important in friendly competition. But competitions get really unfriendly when there isn't enough food to go around for the mountain people and the valley people. You know, and so they start getting bloody competition, and that's the way our history was in humanity. But now there's enough to go around. We're moving to a world of abundance. Integrity and authenticity are when, you know, let's say that the mountain people and the valley people are really good at collaborating. The mountain people are going to bring peanut butter and the valley people are going to bring jelly, and it gets shipped over an IP network, a ship, a car, whatever. Is it still good? Did it get damaged in shipping? And did this really come from the mountain people, or is this a fake peanut butter? So that's where blockchain comes in. Blockchain uses encryption not to make things confidential. It's not for competition. It's for secure collaboration, which is so much of what this world is today. When you look at the way that an application is built today in a cloud-based app, it's not one vendor. You know, you've got function as a service, container as a service, Kubernetes as a service. You know, you've got all the infrastructure, and the Dropbox or the Zoom that we're using right now. Zoom has to collaborate with AWS, who has to collaborate with whoever, Cisco, and all that stuff. So blockchain is helping that world, and then the cloud technologies themselves make it available. So I say we're moving from a world of competition, or at least bloody competition, more friendly competition, to a world of collaboration and abundance. And that's where integrity and availability are our most important security goals, in my opinion.
Very good. Sue, I like this. I just like this diagram, which is the usability triangle, right? So often case, you know, if you remember the zone alarm firewall, you know, it's like when that thing went on, it's like it blocked everything, and then you would have to allow, you know, one aspect after another. So we've come to a point where, you know, functionality is an important part. We want to be able to use our systems without being overly secured, but at the same time, you know, we need a certain degree of security. So I think finding that homeostasis, that happy medium, the middle point.
And it's so subjective. It's so subjective. But usually, you know, the term I love now in security is friction. The more friction it is to do anything, the less I feel like getting it done. It's not usable anymore. Security adds friction. You know, it takes me longer to brush my teeth than it would be, you know, but it's insecure if I don't. You know?
Yep. So hence that's what we strive to do to bring us across to our customers. Yeah, there are challenges in compliance. There's not enough qualified people. Distributed computing is you know, cloud computing is creating more complexity. Certainly compliance is going to increase, not only from the municipal and state level, but really from your insurer's level. 2 years ago, everybody was allowed to do a self-signed or a self-assessment type evaluation. Today, people are being asked to have third parties intervene so that they're satisfying the requirements and they're not lying on their insurance questionnaire. And certainly, what's the last one? Relocation of sensitive data from legacy data centers to the cloud without proper configuration. I can't tell you how many times I'll go to somebody's machine, somebody's computer, and I'll see they got OneDrive running, they've got Google Drive running, they've got Dropbox running. And I said, what are you storing in these cloud containers? I don't know. Why?
You know what's one of the funniest?
I don't know.
Go to your Google history. Go to your Google picture history from the Android phone you had 10 years ago. I was like, oh my God, you just saved all those pictures there?
It's interesting because the way things develop, like one of my customers, for instance, they were getting financial information from various clients, so that all the accountants that worked at this firm were now using their personal Dropbox to get all this financial information, which had a lot of personal private information in it. Now, as I saw this is starting to lay out, I went, no, you shouldn't be using your personal Dropbox to get this. You really need
it's faster,
corporate
it's less
level
friction.
Yeah, you need a corporate level subscription. Otherwise, you have no idea where this information is going to wind up. So, but this is kind of things that happen without a policy, not only an up-to-date policy, but a policy that it keeps in times with the transformational change. Because Dropbox just kind of came upon us, just like that. Nobody planned for it.
Being agile, being secure in the agile world, or securing the agile world.
If you were testing, you would need to know this formula, right? I'm not going to spend time on it. Classification of attacks, as Larry said.
The close-in attacks was a new term for me.
Well, close-in, certainly it would be an insider, an insider attack. Somebody who has access to the network and probably has some limited permission, that may be able to escalate the permissions.
Just a new phrase for me. The concepts they describe on it.
The important thing about this test would be that you want to use the terminology that is in these slides and not terminology that IC Squared is putting out, SOC is putting out, but
that's one thing you can trust with the EC Council. Their tests are based right out of their slides. It's not like CISSP where it's based on ISO.
Yeah. And if anybody decides to take the test, I've got some great documentation. I've taken it, kind of detailed the important areas. So love to share it with you. I'd love to see somebody take the exam, so help somebody get there. All right, so so insider attacks, distribution attacks, some areas, some other areas.
Distribution. I'm sorry, I forgot what that was.
Yeah.
Was that when it comes
distribution attacks occur when attackers tamper with hardware and software prior to installation,
which is SolarWinds.
It could
That's
be
a supply chain issue.
Yeah.
That's why I say it in the collaborative world, when you're getting containers, DLLs, functions, and services from other places.
Two examples would be what they call a shrink wrap attack. It's like there was a Trojan in the actual software that the engineers never removed, or some backdoor.
Yeah, oh yeah, there was a compact way back in the 90s. There was it came on a DVD or a CD,
And there was some talk about NSA intercepting, say, a Dell computer being delivered to particular parties, and that were, firmware, planted firmware backdoors in it.
Is that the one with the camera? Ralph told me about the NSA doing something with Dell to where the cameras on the machines were always on. So even if your machine was, your OS wasn't booted, as long as the machine is plugged in, the firmware turns on the
That's sad.
camera.
That's really sad, that something on a global level like that. I think these were like particular parties that I guess wound up in that, three layer or suspects, people who were suspect to be terrorists or some threat to the
I got you.
Yeah. So who knows? Who knows? But hence a distribution attack. Cloud computing threats. We're doing more and more of it. All the customers that I had that used to have Exchange servers now have Office 365. Okay, it's one of the most abused software as a service applications out there.
Which is?
Office 365. Sure, because now you're not only you're going to have a web-based access to your email, along with maybe Outlook on your machine. So now you've opened that web-based email up to 5 billion users. Anybody could log in. So one of the things that I saw happening was customers giving up their username and password that had admin rights to the console. Then the threat agent would start creating new domains and the new email addresses for those domains, and then utilizing it for nefarious purposes. So basically all the customers I have, if they're not smart enough to use it, I just don't give them admin rights to their Exchange consoles. I kind of act a bit.
Sure, if they don't have an Exchange trained admin, then why would they need that? That's setting somebody up to fail. That's like giving them the keys to the car when nobody else knows how to drive anyway.
Yeah, exactly. APTs, advanced persistent threats, we need to know what they are, right? We'll talk a little bit about viruses, worms, ransomware, mobile threats. Botnets, insider attacks, phishing, web application threats, IoT threats.
The IoT, I think, for me, is going to be really exciting. I know you've been talking about this stuff. I haven't gotten a chance to really sit down and listen to you. I can't wait.
So just some laws that are out there, right? PCI. It's not a law.
You won't go to jail, but you could be fined.
Right. Yeah, and I actually had a customer get fined. Was to be fined $25. So I haven't seen anybody actually lose their ability to do it, and it's certainly it's a good try, but I find that most customers that I have that have restaurants and small businesses all lie. For instance, one of the self-assessed requirements is, do you have a formal written security policy? So they check no, and they get a red indicator. They check yes, they get a green indicator, right? They get all green indicators, they pass. So it doesn't take a whole lot of smarts to fill out that self-assessment question.
That was so funny. You told me about that. You had a client get exploited, and you followed up on no, it was a new client, and they had some exploit. Somebody and you said, "Wait a minute, let me see your security policy." You said, "Oh, we don't have one." They said, "But you're PCI level 4 compliant."
None of them. Nobody.
We just clicked yes or else.
Until you help them.
It's like asking your kid, "Did you brush your teeth?" Yeah. Did you do your homework? Shit.
Well, that's about the level of it, ISO 27001, 2013, very important.
To me, as a Star Trek fan, this is what the Federation says all starships, all ships need to have some security management system that incorporates these types of things. And if you want to ship in international water, originally, again, these terms were created for shipping. And its certification was issued by Lloyd's Coffee House, to get tea from China and sugar from they would insure your ship if you got an A1 rating. That's like the ISO 27001. That certifies the ship. Then they have common criteria for the equipment on the ship, and then they have like EHE or to get the people on the ship. So you always certify the organization of the ship. All the equipment on the ship is on a certified sale. Where did you get that sale? Does your friend make it? Look at this shabby work. It's not ISO certified. So that's really what led to all this. It's the same thing. We're still doing it, and you can't get insurance to do your job. ISO 27001. You get certified on this, your company automatically probably is going to pass any GDPR or anything else. If you're here, you're good enough.
Have you ever compared this to what the Air Force does?
No.
I'm just curious. It's like if this was developed really for shipping.
No. This was developed for computers. No, what the Air Force would have done. Ships started everything. The first of our
Starfleets.
Again, it's collaboration between different organizations. We used to do everything inside of England or whatever. But when England started, when the Portuguese invented a sail in the 1400s that allowed you to go whether the wind was coming behind you or not, all of a sudden we had international shipping, cloud computing, and collaboration between the different places. Of course, it was a little biased. The British ships were heavily armed and could take over your country. If it's like FedEx just decides, let's just take over this country. Because they were shipping companies. It was like Lloyd's, actually the British East India Tea Company that took over England. It wasn't, took over India. It wasn't the Queen. It was a shipping company. It was terrible, but they did. But the laws that they set out are basically still here, the basic concepts, and we just now try to respect other people and not just compete and kill people and steal their nutmeg.
HIPAA. Very important. I think it's kind of a mess, but because most of the people I know, health records are in shambles.
The health industry itself is so waiting to be disrupted. It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's because of HIPAA. You still have to fax, except for you, Tom. God bless you. But you got to fax to your doctor, and you go, why? Why do I have to fax? Because they're not running certified mail. They're not running Federation PKIX to 509, so they only trust the fax. It's horrible.
And the big problem with fax today is that they're doing away with copper lines.
They're doing away with what?
Copper lines. POTS lines. A POTS line.
That's why it's trusted. That's why it's trusted. So the faxes aren't really POTS. They're not really. Oh my God, it's so funny.
It's a mess because a POTS line today is about $250, $300 a month.
No, it's not. Is it really?
Oh no, yeah. Oh yeah. No, I all my customers had to give them up because they don't want to pay. They don't want to be paying ridiculous costs, and they pushed them up because they wanted to get rid of them and they want to place everything with fiber, which is fine because it gives you a high-speed internet. Sure.
But when it's a lot easier to maintain.
Your basic fax machine does not work well over.
That's
not. It's like it's a hit or miss type thing, and it's just created such a problem. Such a problem. In fact, you basically, you want to use a fax service that would be one that converts your scan to an email that then is delivered to some fax service.
I got one other thing I like to say, Star Trek wise about HIPAA. So Peter Diamandis, he has the X Prize, and in like 2005 or whatever, they launched the Tricorder X Prize. So it went, instead of, at home, we all have thermometers, right? We can take each other's temperature. When you go to the doctor, they check your blood pressure, but you really need to check more. We should check our respiration rate. We should check. So Qualcomm sponsored $10 million to the winner. I forget who wins it, but it has to diagnose something like 14 common medical conditions. I need my, blood pressure, stuff like that. And why don't we have them in our house? And the winner, I saw them interviewed about 2 years ago, and they said because for every feature we put in, on average, we had 10 HIPAA violations.
Interesting. Yeah. Pretty cool. Sarbanes-Oxley, so SOX. There's some test questions in here on it.
It's a great rule for something, though. Forget all the things to me, is that unlike HIPAA, a confidentiality rule, Sarbanes-Oxley is for secure collaboration, right? It's accounting. Let me make sure you did what you said you were going to do, because I was counting on you to do that. Oh no, we lost those records. What do you mean you lost the records? You know, the cop, you shot the kid in, but somehow your camera was off. Well, can you explain this to me? So these are maintaining that you got to keep records of stuff. Don't tell me you conveniently forgot. Blockchain. Blockchain really answers a lot of this.
Yeah, I think it's going to help a lot. Okay. DMCA, I don't know.
As an artist, it's important to me.
No, I think we've kind of moved beyond, you know, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act at this point. But you need to know that, you know, it's there.
Yeah, there's no test questions, but I feel comfortable as an artist that once I publish something to YouTube,
there might be
it's protected
on the DMCA. I'm just saying today, you know, really with Spotify, Pandora, the way music has went, you know, it's like maybe even with film at this point, you know, it's we've kind of transcended the days of Napster, you know, where
yeah. No, I don't see it as that. I see this combining with NFTs, right? So to me, NFTs are not just for small little art things I create. It's to track intellectual property.
There you go. Yeah.
It's to track. So I think when you marry this with NFTs, it starts it replaces the old trademark concept, the copyright, all those things, and we have a blockchain way to actually track that, the ownership of that intellectual property. And what's nice is once I post something out to YouTube, you're like, yeah, but you didn't fill it out at the board. It doesn't matter, dude. You know, the common good can all see YouTube has logs and says Larry did produce that first. That is his song. You know, and DMCA automatically protects me for that. That's a good thing. It's a good law.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's I think that the music and entertainment industry has transcended the need for it at this point.
I think NFTs are going to combine with it. But anyway, so FISMA,
FISMA,
a lot of our DoD guys have to be familiar with this. So where NIST creates NIST is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, but they're really guidelines. FISMA are the standards. So if you want to run that ship, you know, international waters, GDPR, you're going to get ISO 27001. If you're going to be carrying government information, you got to be FISMA certified. If on your ship is any government intellectual property, right?
Yeah, so if you were an EU citizen, GDPR would be really important. But if you're doing any business with EU, then
if on your ship is anything coming from or going to a European customer, you better meet these requirements. Yeah.
But is Russia involved in that? I don't think so.
They probably will have no respect. What do you mean? You will do what we want in the rebels. And I don't mean to pick on Russian people because there's, you know, I think YouTube is like overwhelming with. Remember, some of us are great people. It's just our leader. You know, don't judge all Germans by Hitler, right? Yeah.
Another one, the Data Protection Act, 2018. So there's a small amount of information there. You need to know them. Cyber law in different countries, there's no testable objectives about it. Just know that it varies from country to country, even from state to state.
They don't have any laws on this test?
No laws. Yeah.
Ooh,
you will see something on the DMCA. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. But most other tests, CEH, CISSP, they usually refer to one of maybe even as much as a half dozen of those things. Yeah.
All right. So it's kind of like top of the hour.
Yeah, it sure is. So let's do our first break. I'm going to pause the recording.